congratulations with Go Back to China. First of all, I just want to remark that you're basically telling any other Asian story out there. At first, I thought I was watching my sister's story because she's going through that right now.
Wow, you have a family business?
Not quite. My sister just graduated from FITM, and she is struggling to find a job here in LA, and it's very, very expensive. And they just cut off her trust fund.
Wow.
That is very specific.
Yeah, and they want her to move back overseas. But anyways.
Wow, okay.
That's basically the plot of Go Back to China.
Yes.
So enough about myself. Tell me where the original idea came from first for this movie.
Well, this is obviously a very autobiographical film. I would say, like, the inciting incidents of getting cut off and not having money to pay for the birthday party, that's all sort of made up. But I did go back to China and work for the family business when I was around Sasha's age. So that was all very much part of sort of the autobiographical aspect. But I would say Sasha is a much more exaggerated character than who I was at 24. I would say I'm actually much closer to Carol's character now. So in a way, I kind of split myself into two different characters. So Carol's kind of more who I am right now, and Sasha is an exaggerated version of who I was at 24. And I just felt like it was time for me to tell this story because after I made my last film, Already Tomorrow in Hong Kong, everyone was like asking me to write rom-com pitches and everything. And I just thought before I move on to anything else, I really wanted to get this story out before I could really tell any other story. And this is just a story I've been wanting to tell for a really long time. And I thought if I didn't do it now, I might just get too distracted to ever tell it.
Lynn,
Yeah.
I mean, for yourself, why were you attracted to a project like this? Was this something a little bit different from what you're used to before?
You know what's funny is that the way I came to be involved with this project was I was shooting a movie in New York City and I had a lot of time at night, and so I would just watch Netflix, and my friend Jamie Chung tweeted about her movie It's Already Tomorrow in Hong Kong and how it was available on Netflix. So that night I watched the movie, and I remember thinking, who's Emily Ting? And she's friends with people I know. Why don't I know Emily Ting? Who is this like female director writer? And literally 2 days later, or maybe even the day after, one of those friends emails me and says, hey, do you know who Emily Ting is? She has a script, a movie, and she wants you to be in it. And it just felt so kismet that I was like, I don't even need to read this. Yes, because I loved her movie, and I was just wondering, how do I get on this woman's radar? And it turns out I already was. And so then I read the script and was like, this is awesome. And she said, we're going to China to shoot it. And I was like, this is perfect, yes. I mean, it was really no-brainer.
Was this character relatable to you, or the story was relatable to you in any way?
Well, you know, the story itself doesn't really have much to do with my family's story, even though my family is originally from China and Taiwan. But I definitely felt like I could relate a lot to Carol's character. Very controlling in a lot of ways and in similar ways, and I do feel like I'm babysitting a lot, that I'm like responsible for others in my family. I guess you could say my older brother was a little bit more like Sasha in that he was like a bit of a party animal, so I know what it feels like to be that peacekeeper in the family. Emily,
how surreal was it to make this film over in China? I know this is your second film over there, so.
Yeah. What's surreal about this film is that not only did we shoot in China, we shot like in my family's actual toy factory and in my dad's actual house. And I casted a lot of the real people in my life to be characters in the film. Like the little boy who played Christian is my actual little brother. and the factory manager actually manages the factory. So it was really surreal in that it's like it was literally my life that we staged. And then when we shot at my dad's house that first day, I mean, he was like upstairs watching TV while we were downstairs like shooting all these scenes. And like finally, like he was trying to stay out of the way. And finally, I think when we were shooting the last scene, I was like, why don't you come and watch it on the monitor? And that was really weird. Watching my dad watching a depiction of himself like on the monitor. And I was like, oh, I hope he's okay with this. But he had a good time. I mean, he was like smiling and laughing. So that was like one of the nicer scenes. It was like, it was a scene where he was playing guitar with Sasha. So it was like one of the few moments when they were not fighting, and it was like kind of a nice scene. And that was the one I let him watch on the monitor.
Not the ones where he's exploding and
yeah, not the ones
things.
where they're like fighting with each other. So that was really surreal. But I don't think I wanted it any other way, because there was at certain points of development where they were trying to get more money and reach for sort of like co-production companies in China. And my first thought was, if we got more money, they're gonna want to build a set, they're gonna want a better looking factory, they're gonna, it's like they want to pour money into it. Whereas I really like the idea that I'm able to capture my family's actual toy factory and everything. Like in a way, it's sort of like documenting this moment in time. Because I don't know how much longer our factory is going to be, standing, because the town is going through so much development and gentrification right now that they're just tearing down factories left and right to make way for high rises. So I don't even know how much longer it's going to be standing. So for me, it was very important that we got to shoot in the actual locations.
So for the record, what kind of toys is actually manufactured at your father's factory?
Like this was manufactured over there. We do singing
The
and
best
dancing.
toys. The best toys. It was very distracting when we were shooting in the toy factory in the showroom.
Yeah, so everything sings and dances. I didn't show as much of that aspect because then we have to clear all the music. Like we had like a Despacito.
It was so much fun.
I think
we would be shooting.
They would be
and we would just be
everything.
pressing buttons, and Emily would be like, "Quiet!" And then you'd hear like in the other room, like Despacito is like going on.
Yeah, I was like, we can't clear that for the movie. Just like shut everything off. So everything that Sasha was making was like the non-dancing, non-singing ones. But yeah, it's mainly plush, and it's mainly plush that the electronic animals that sings and dances. And like we go after whatever is the hottest song like in the market right now. So like most of them were like, yeah, we would not be able to show in the movie just because of how expensive they are.
And Lynn, I understand, is this your first film in China, or has it been a while?
No, I've never shot a movie in China. Actually, I hadn't been back to China since I was in high school, and since I was more like a Sasha, where I didn't like appreciate my family or where I came from. I just wanted to be home, with my friends partying. So it was great to come back as an adult and really see the country where my family is from, and also test out, my Chinese, which was better than I thought it was, and just to see how much the country has grown. There's just like Emily said, it's growing so fast, and you can just see like huge strides being made, but you also see the growing pains that are going on right now. It's a really interesting time right now.
Talk to me about the cultural and language barriers that may arise. I mean, there's one thing about filming here in America, but there's
Right.
another thing about filming in China.
Yeah, this is my second time shooting in Asia, and we were actually able to use a lot of the same crew from my first film, RH in Hong Kong, with this one, because it's just a train ride from Hong Kong to Shenzhen. But I did bring over a few department heads from here, notably my DP and his camera assistant. They were like the two white guys. And I I think it was a huge cultural shock for them because, for one, they're the minority, and also in that part of China, I mean, they were getting pointed at constantly, and people would go up to them and like want to take selfies and take pictures. And it's funny because like our AC is not even American; he's Swedish. But people be like, "Oh my God, there's a real life American," and I'm like, "He's not even American." But to them, it's all the same. It's like all foreigners are American. So I think that was very different for them to experience, because they don't experience that here. And even here, even though we're minorities, people are not going around like, "Look, there's a real Chinese person. Can I take a picture with you?" But over there, they're just, because it's a small, it's not a big metropolitan, it's not Shanghai, it's not Beijing. It's a tiny town where they don't see, a lot of white people around. So I think that was a big shock for them. And in terms of working with a foreign crew, I think we had the same issue last time. The language is okay. I mean, I think they speak enough English for us to communicate. I think the real disconnect is in the way they work. It's very different. I don't know if we told you about this on set, but the way the actors like to act in Hong Kong, at least I was told, is that you just put the camera on them and they repeat their lines until they get it right.
Oh.
Like you don't do takes of the entire scene. So that's where the disconnect between Richard and I sometimes, he's like, "Why are we doing another take? Just put the camera on me. I will repeat all the lines until you like it, and then we move on."
Wow.
I'm like, I literally have never seen it done that way. But like my AD, my owner was like, "Yeah, that's how we make movies here."
Wow.
So they move really fast. But I'm like, how do you build up?
Your editor thanks you.
Yeah, I was like, that's just so bizarre to me. But it's just the way, it's very the way they work. They have their certain way, and I think even the idea of indie film is very foreign to them, because Hong Kong has a very robust industry, and it's almost factory-like the way they work. It's just like, yeah, here's your coverage and just roll, and then I'll give you all the takes until you like it, and then we move on to the next line. So that's where it's a little different. But yeah, I would say language-wise, it was enough to get by.
Of course, Anna isn't here right now, so that basically means we should talk about
Should we talk
her.
about
Let's
her?
just gossip about it.
So how was she on the set? What was it like working with Anna, the star of the movie?
Anna's incredible. She's like an amazing workhorse. I don't know how she does it, honestly. I mean, she would work an entire day giving it her all, then go back and do a YouTube video in between. One day she was sick and would just take naps in between takes.
Yeah.
But then when she woke up, she would give a take she hadn't been asleep for the last 5 minutes. I just could not believe she was robotic almost. I was like, I want whatever Anna has.
She's probably the most prolific person I know. She comes from a YouTube background, and when I was casting her, there were a lot of people around me were like, "She's a YouTuber, are you sure she could act?" She could act. She is so on and so good. I'm really surprised this is her first starring role in a movie, and I really hope people see her performance here and cast her in more traditional things. And yeah, Lynn was saying, yeah, she would be on set all day, and then she would then do her YouTube video. She was recording her album.
She was recording her album too,
at
at the same time.
I mean, she was constantly working, in between takes, she would be editing her other videos and or approving other she's like a mini mogul.
Yes.
She has so many projects going on at the same time. For me, I'm I made one movie last year. She recorded a whole visual album, so she made music videos for every single and her weekly vlogs on YouTube. yeah, like, so the girl is just amazing. Her work ethic is probably, it's like the best work ethic I've ever seen. And she was so good and so easy to work
She's so
with.
fun too. She's a great travel companion as well.
Wow. You know what I also noticed about this production? All of you use social media to promote this indie film, and I mean, literally, all of you did. I mean, and talk about using that format. I mean, obviously she did it, but it was quite surprising that everybody else on production used Instagram, YouTube vlogging, and everything to promote this movie.
Yeah, I mean, you did a lot of that.
Yeah,
when you were in
well,
China.
you told me go for it, and I was like, okay, I will, because it's fun to document what's happening, especially when you're working in a foreign country. It can be sort of like, I want something to look back like a time capsule of what's happening. So I'm happy to make videos, and I'm happy to take a bunch of photos, and I'm happy to share it with my audience and with my family and my friends. And most projects that I'm involved with, they
They're like,
don't
"No,
want
don't
you to
do
say
it."
they're like catalog it and maybe show something but everything has to be gone through approval. Not with Emily.
Our publicists may think otherwise. But I'm very, like, we're such a small budget indie film that I'm like, we need to use social media to promote the film early on. Like you said, like a lot of movies, even on the indie level, it's like, do not post any photos from set, do not, and I'm like, no, tag us, hashtag us, like, get it out there. Like, we were able to amass a fan base very early on, from like the day we announced the movie, and then like as a reward we're like, well, you get to get a behind the scenes look at what we're doing in China, and now they're with us through South by, through other film festivals, through hopefully to the release, because I feel like if you only start when you have a release date, it's too late. Like, these people, these are fans that we've had from day one. So yeah, like when you work on my movie, I have no problem with, it's like, social media the hell out of set. Like, I want people to see, and surprisingly, everyone was able to get past the Chinese like firewall.
Yes, that was a worry.
Because I was like,
We
how
got
do we
through.
Instagram in China? But we all figured out a way to do
Sure
it.
did.
Excellent. Well, let me start wrapping things up.
Okay.
Can you talk about your future projects? And I understand, Lynn, you are directing now.
I am.
Yeah, so I helped Lynn produce her first her directorial debut, which I'm
Yes.
really excited about.
And that would never have happened had we not done this
Yeah.
movie together. And like, while we were in China, actually, I already knew that was going to be a possibility, and I just used our time on set to shadow Emily and see what it was like to be behind the monitor for the first time, and so that when I actually had to step into that role myself, not only did I already have a relationship with Emily, working with her as an actor, but working with her as somebody who is a mentor, like, it became so much more smooth for me, and I felt safe, to be able to make the many mistakes that I went on to make. But that's what's happening next. We'll continue to have a life together with our film, with our other
And
film.
what's the film called?
It is called I Will Make You Mine. Thank you. She's such a good producer. It's called I Will Make You Mine.
Excellent. And what do you think about, due to Crazy Rich Asians, what do you think about the trend that actually is starting to open more doors, possibly, for Asian movies?
I think I definitely see a difference, because when I wrote the script 2017, and when I sent it out, like, unanimously everyone was like, it's too Asian, it's too hard of a sell. Like, my own reps were like, we don't know what to do with this. And then, but we made it independently. And once the movie is finished, after Crazy Rich Asians, I mean, I definitely feel like there was a title change, because now all of a sudden it's not too Asian. It's like, oh, it's like an indie version of Crazy Rich Asians. It's like this rich girl who goes back to China. I definitely feel, I mean, I don't know if that influenced festivals in any way, but in terms of sales, you know, like I'm no longer hearing, oh, it's such a hard sell. Like we definitely got sales interest, like from sales agents when the movie was announced that it got into South by. You know, we're getting a lot of press interest. Like I'm no longer hearing, oh, it's such a niche, you know, like market and subject matter. And also, you know, at Sundance there were 3 Asian American themed films. So I think it's like, I think people are definitely becoming a lot more accepting. I think the audience has always been there because who cares if you're Asian or not? I feel like it's a very universal story, but I think it's the gatekeepers who've been like, oh, I don't know if we could sell a movie with an Asian cast, but you know, we've just proven that it's possible. So I think we got really lucky with the timing. I think people are just now more open and accepting to an all Asian cast and story.
Excellent. Well, hey, thank you very much for this conversation. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
you.
much.
All right.